The meeting of the Miramar City Commission is now called to order. Call the roll, please.
Mayor Messam.
Here.
Vice Mayor Chambers.
Here.
Commissioner Colburn.
Here.
Commissioner Riggs.
Here.
City Manager Woods Richardson.
Here.
Deputy City Manager Love.
Here.
City Attorney Cole.
Here.
City Attorney Smith.
Here.
Let us rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. At this time, we would like to observe a moment of silence for any condolences that may be in our community. So if you could just observe a moment of silence. Thank you. First, we'd like to invite all of our residents and guests that are here today. We have some special guests today, and before we bring them up, coming into the commission chambers, you may have seen fire engines with their lights on outside. No need to be concerned. There's no emergency. It's actually the delivery of our 2 new fire engines here for rescue vehicles for the City of Miramar's fire department. So we're very excited about adding these 2 new assets to our fire department to continue to provide quality fire rescue services here in the city of Miramar. And as you can see, your tax dollars are being well spent, and we're just excited to have these 2 rescue vehicles. So I'll come forward for a couple of presentations. I would like to ask the commission to join me up front. I'm sure you would like to greet and see some of our best and brightest in our community, our young girls and boys of our community. And we have the recognitions for our Miramar Optimist program. As you all know, in the city of Miramar, our Optimist program is very busy with multiple sports, and we would like to recognize a few of them today. We are after the conclusion of a very successful football season, and we want to make sure that we recognize our ball players, our cheerleaders, and as well as our track team. And I think we have another club represented as well, and I'll share that with you in a moment. But first, we would like to bring forward our Miramar Patriots cheer team. If you can come forward with your coach or representative, just come forward up here with us and join the commission. No, that's fine. That's fine. Hello, young ladies. How are you? And are you mom, coach?
But I'm also the commissioner of Miramar Park as well. So I am the cheer commissioner for West Miramar cheerleaders, and I'm also the cheer coach for the varsity JV squad.
Well, thank you so much for all you do for the community and these young ladies. And we would like to present you, and it states City of Miramar Certificate of Recognition. The mayor and commissioners present this certificate to Miramar Optimists, Miramar Patriots cheer team, Pee-wee ages 6 through 9. And I think the team came in 2nd in the Orange Bowl and 3rd in Extreme. So we'd like to congratulate the cheer team, because we know the players out there needs that support when they're out there trying to make those first downs and touchdowns and tackles and interceptions. And we know that our cheer team is a very big component of any football activity. So thank you so much, young ladies, for all that you do. Thank you. Thank you. Actually, I have a second one for your 10 through 16. Yes, varsity as well. Okay. Thank you. I think all of them came up at the same time. Okay, our next recognition goes to the Miramar Patriots football team for 7U. And our 7U Miramar Patriots football team are actually Super Bowl champions. So let's give it up for our Super Bowl champions. Come down, come down, come down, come down, come down. Yeah. Okay. Where's Coach and the trophies? And state champions. That's what we're talking about. That's what we're talking about. Congratulations, Coach. What's your name, Coach?
John Gay.
What was the key to the success this year?
My beautiful kids right here.
Awesome, 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 awesome. And this certificate is on behalf of the mayor and the commissioners here. We just want to congratulate you and the young fellas here for a successful season. Continue to represent us. We know that victories are important, but we know that their character and their education is even more important. And thanks for your ambassadorship and representing the city of Miramar so well. So again, congratulations. Thank you. Congratulations, Coach.
Thank you so much. Congratulations.
Good job. Good job. Now it's time to call up those bad Miramar Wolverines. 9U. Come on up. Come on up. Wow, these young men look like they could beat my high school football team. Look at them. Nice. Come on over here, Coach. And our Miramar Wolverines 9U team are also Super Bowl champions. Any other recognitions? And they also are state champs and national runner-ups. Great job, great job. And on behalf of the city of Miramar and the commission, we would like to present this certificate to, what's your name, Coach?
Jack Sawyer.
Jack Sawyer, thanks so much for your role modelship, your leadership for this football team. And we know that you're like a big dad to a lot of the players in terms of showing them instructions and discipline. And thanks for a great season, and thanks for representing our city so well. Congratulations again. They didn't know the mayor had a national championship trophy ring too, right? Congratulations, guys. Wow. Now we'd like to call up the Miramar Wolverines 12U. And guess what? Another Super Bowl championship team. Slide down, slide down. I think the commission might have to come in the front because these young men are taller than the commissioners. Okay, so this is for our 12U Super Bowl champions, the Miramar Wolverines football team. We're so proud of you all for representing the city of Miramar. So continue the good work. This is only the beginning. Listen to your coaches, listen to your parents, and make sure to get the books, and you never know, you might be in the NFL Super Bowl championship game at some point. Good, good. Here you go, Coach. What's your name, Coach?
Dwight Jackson.
Coach Dwight Jackson, we're so proud of you. Thanks for all that you do for the community, and thanks for leading these young men to a Super Bowl championship. Congratulations, young men. Now, if you think that football was the only sport that we have here in the city of Miramar under our Optimist program, think again, because at this time, we would like to bring up our very own Miramar Reds baseball team. Let's go, Sluggers. Let's go. Let's go, Sluggers. People are saying that baseball is a dying sport, but I don't think here in the city of Miramar. Look at those Reds coming up. And this is our 10U team. This is our 10U team. Coach, what's your name, Coach?
Bob Andrini.
Thanks so much, Bob, for your leadership with this team. You're teaching so much discipline. Baseball is a wonderful sport. We know we're just kicking off the Major League Baseball in spring training. So I'm sure we have some future sluggers and some home run derby champions coming up. So we're very excited about you all, and thanks so much for all that you do as coaches. And you parents, you know, those who bring the Capri Suns and the chips after the game. You know, those are our MVPs. So we're really proud of you. And here you are, a certificate to your recognition of this year's upcoming season and this season, and congratulations for all that you do for the community. Congratulations again, young men. And our final presentation, but definitely not least, we would like to recognize our Miramar Optimist track team. Do we have representatives from our track team? Now, Miramar Optimist Track is no secret here in Miramar. They've been here several times because we've had so many national champions over the years in our Miramar Optimist Track program over at our world-class Anson Sports Complex. So, actually, you all can come on down. Come on down. How you doing, Coach? Yeah. Good. How you doing? How you doing? How you doing? And what's so great about track and field is that it's co-ed. It's our young boys and our young girls. They win together, they succeed together, they travel together. And for those track parents, I mean, it starts from 6 in the morning at the track. I mean, they have their compounds, they have their tents, their coolers, and they're there all day. Now, that is some dedication because we have some world-class sprinters and long jumpers and high jumpers and distance runners and mid sprints, and we just know that you're going to continue to make us proud. And as you get ready to kick off your season, some of you may be running track even in your schools right now, but I know you're looking forward to the summertime for those AAUs where you can go ahead and show who's best, and we know that Miramar has the champion. So Coach, we would like to present this certificate to you in recognition of, as you see all these medals, these are all national qualifiers and champions and placers, right? Junior Olympics. So we have some junior Olympians right here in the city of Miramar. In the city of Miramar. And before we let them go, because I know we're going to take some pictures, if you're sitting at home watching on TV or on the internet or here in the commission chambers, whether you have a child or not that participates, Miramar Optimists and all of our youth programs oftentimes have fundraisers, many things that they need additional resources to make it possible for them to be able to go off and compete. You just heard we have junior Olympians. These junior national championships take place in Oregon, Utah, Texas, Oklahoma. It takes resources. When our football teams are playing national games and state championships, they have to travel. Sometimes they have to fly, charter buses. And so whenever you see the opportunity to support our youth athletics, please make sure to support them so that they can have the best opportunity to enjoy these experiences. Because you know what? They'll never forget the experiences of going off to competing. And our kids aren't just competing, they're winning and bringing home trophies and making us proud. So let's support our community and let's support our kids because they're our future. Congratulations to everyone again. Don't leave that photo. Picture, picture, picture. See, they're very fast, right? All right, thank you. Great job again. We recognize our youth first so that they can, whenever they want to be dismissed, they can feel free to leave because we know it's a school night, because we know that they're scholars first. So we want to make sure to give them an opportunity. Thanks again, parents and coaches. As our athletes are being dismissed, if I can have Dr. Grace Johns come forward for your presentation.
Excellent. Thank you.
We'll give them a few more moments to dismiss the chambers. Okay, can you hear me now? Okay. I don't always introduce alums from the University of Florida, but I'll take this exception. We do have one of our parents who I think will be a future NFL Hall of Famer, Fred Taylor, in the back of the room. You can raise your head. Fred Taylor, All-American from the University of Florida and former Jacksonville Jaguar, All-Pro running back and fellow Glade Central Raider, teammate of mine at Glade Central High School. So just wanted to recognize Mr. Taylor. Thanks for coming out. So our next presentation will be from the 2016 FSA WWA Division 5 Water Distribution Award that is coming home to the City of Miramar that we're very proud of. And now we'll have a presentation from Chair Dr. Grace Johns. Welcome. Make sure the light is on at the base of the base of the mic. Press the
push. Oh,
yes, there you go.
Good evening, Mayor Messam, Vice Mayor Chambers, and Commissioners. It's a pleasure to be here. You are proud to have yet another winner being presented to you tonight. My name is Grace Johns. I'm the chair of the American Water Works Association Florida section, and with me tonight is Garrett Bowman, our Region 6 chair. Region 6 is one of our 12 regions throughout the state, and it represents our members in Broward and Palm Beach counties. We are here to recognize your hard-working water distribution system professionals for their outstanding service in 2016. These professionals who worked extremely hard 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, to provide safe and reliable water to your 138,000 residents through 444 miles of water distribution pipelines. The amount of water going through these pipelines is 17 million gallons a day, which is an incredible amount of water. The American, before I go on, can the awardees, the water distribution system professionals, stand up?
Let's give them a round of applause.
I want them to stand up while I give this speech, because the speech is not about me, it's about them.
Yes.
Don't look at me, look at them. So I just want to tell you who we are. The American Water Works Association is the world's largest educational and scientific organization dedicated to serving our many diverse water professionals as they make a better world through better water. Our mission is to be the authoritative resource on safe water to protect public health and to provide safe, sufficient, and affordable water for all. The association has over 50,000 members, and that includes 4,000 water utilities that provide potable water service to 80% of the United States population. The association has 43 sections, and the Florida section is one of those sections. We have over 2,500 members, and we represent 174 water utilities throughout the state. Each year, the Florida section presents its Distinguished Outstanding Water Distribution System Award to one deserving Florida utility in each of up to 8 size classes. And this year, the City of Miramar was one of 8 Florida utilities receiving this award for their outstanding achievements in 2016. This award recognizes the city's water utility employees as outstanding performers and leaders in maintaining high water quality and reliable operations, in keeping excellent records. Now, you might think that's rather trivial, but in the water distribution system world, records are essential for providing safe, reliable water to their customers. They're also recognized in promoting professionalism, safety, and emergency preparedness, and in implementing a sound cross-connection control program. And as our water system becomes more and more complex, eliminating cross-connections between sewage and reuse is incredibly important, especially as our population grows. I've watched the City of Miramar grow over the last, I've been here since 1990. Before that, I lived here for 10 years, from 76 to 80. Point being is I've seen the City of Miramar grow. And I have been so impressed at the way you all conduct yourself and the decisions that you make. You guys are high class, I have to tell you, all the time that I have observed the City of Miramar. I live in Cooper City. I went to college. I went to high school at Cooper City High School. So I'm just very proud of all of you. And with that said, there's a reason why it's relevant to this award. The city's improvement projects have really demonstrated you all's forward thinking and intelligent decision making that keeps our residents healthy. These projects are the East Water Treatment Plant Enhancement Project, the Reuse Expansion Project, and the historic Miramar Water Main and Fire Hydrant Improvement Project. So tonight we recognize the good work of your water distribution system professionals who make sure that your residents and visitors receive safe and reliable drinking water 24 hours a day, 7 days a week with no time off. And so at this time, it is with great pleasure that Garrett and I present the American Water Works Association Florida Section Outstanding Water Distribution System Award to the City of Miramar for their outstanding performance in 2016. Thank you.
Would one of you want to make a quick comment?
I'll be glad to. Jody Kirkman, the Utilities Director. We're pleased to accept this award, and I'm proud of staff too. And we'll continue to do what we have to make this city do what we do. So again, thank you.
And we'd like to, just to go on and say that we really have the best utility department in terms of, not from top to bottom, from administration to our general employees that are out there ensuring that our system works, and from a quality standpoint. And it was my pleasure to be able to brag on our utilities department. Jordy and I went to one of your conferences not too long ago as a panelist. I was a panelist and was able to to talk about our distribution system, to talk about the ways that Miramar is really taking water very seriously, and we have some great opportunities that lie ahead of us. So if we've been recognized for what we've done at this point, just wait to see what are the new advancements that are to come. So thanks so much, and congratulations again to our staff.
Could I just say one last
Yes.
thing? We left with you our March edition of the Florida Water Resources Journal. This is put out each month by the Florida Section American Water Works Association. And this issue highlights our fall conference, which is where we give out most of our awards. And on page 31 is a picture of Division 5 City of Miramar, accepted by Michael Moore, Greg Rust, and Jody Kirkman. And this also, if you just flip through it, you'll get an idea about what we do as an organization. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mayor, if I may,
Yes, Vice Mayor, you're recognized.
I just want to say thanks to the men and women who work at the water facility. It's a testament to their commitment to this water plant, especially the East Water Plant that was built in 1955. To run that plant and provide such great quality of water, it's amazing how good it is, and it wouldn't have done without the work and that you guys put into it. And I want to thank you guys so much, and not only you, but also the people who have gone before us who worked here and retire or moved somewhere else or working someplace else. They were really thinking ahead and set a foundation so we can continue to provide quality water for the city of Miramar. So I just want to give a big shout out to the water department. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. And again, congratulations. Our final presentation will come from the 2017 State Surgeon General Health Weight Community Champion Award, and that will be presented by Ms. Candy Sims from Broward Health. How are you, Ms. Sims?
I'm doing fine. Thank you. Good evening. Mayor, Vice Mayor, Commissioners, and staff. I am Candy Sims. I'm the Public Information Officer for the Florida Department of Health in Broward County. And I'm here to present the State Surgeon General Healthy Weight Community Champion Award 2017 to the City of Miramar. This award is presented in recognition of your efforts to promote a community environment where the healthy choice is the easiest choice. Our Surgeon General established this initiative to highlight the cities and counties in the state of Florida who have played an important role in decreasing the prevalence of unhealthy weight in their community and have positively impacted the health environment in their area. The City of Miramar submitted the following best practices, which form the basis for your designation as a healthy weight community. And before I do that, let me just say, our State Surgeon General, we are not allowed locally to get involved because we could be biased and have our own picks or whatever. But she personally take a look at everything that's sent to her for this community healthy weight initiative, and when she sent back we don't know the winners until she actually sends back the certificates. So we didn't get to know who the winners are until about 2 weeks ago. And then we decided, okay, we have a lot of cities and municipalities here in Broward County for the first time. So many of our cities and municipalities are doing some very good things. And in the city of Miramar, you all really need to be very proud. The things that they sent in was, it says the city of Miramar provides numerous physical activity options to residents and of all ages and physical capabilities. The park system includes 4 recreational facilities that offer fitness-related classes and programs, 2 large swimming facilities with water park playgrounds, and a state-of-the-art sports complex, which is one of only 4 Class II internationally certified tracks in the United States. Something very good to be proud of. The city also features an exercise route within Miramar Regional Park, specifically designed as an option to residents and visitors with disabilities. In addition, Miramar currently works with various organizations to provide free and affordable health screenings, health fairs, and offer other opportunities to residents experiencing health inequities. The success of the Miramar Community Garden, the first micro-farming system in Broward County, demonstrates the importance of a local food system and healthy living education in low-income neighborhoods. So on behalf of our State Surgeon General, Dr. Celeste Phillip, our health officer here in Broward County, Dr. Paula Thauci, I congratulate the city of Miramar and present this certificate as our 2017 Healthy Weight Community Champion. And our State Surgeon General office always calls us. Send me pictures, I want to make sure this is done. They deserve what they do. Thank you. And we look forward to seeing Miramar again next year with this award.
Thank you so much. And there's so many departments that deserve credit on this, from our Parks and Recs Department, our Social Services Department, Elsie Rose and all the good work that she does with our community garden and our community and our volunteers that make Miramar such a great place, and putting full use of our park systems and all of our assets to make sure that we are all Miramar fit. And we have a quick presentation from Maurice Curlin, who serves as our federal advocate in Washington, D.C., with a federal update. We'll be very interested to see how things are shaking up in the Beltway area in terms of our new administration and some of the congressional legislative priorities.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, Vice Mayor, Commissioners, City Manager, and City staff. I first of all want to thank you for the opportunity to come here and present. It's always an honor for me to come from Washington and come to Miramar and provide you all, especially with this new administration, a new Congress, just some background on what's happening and what the landscape is like. So first of all, I would like to just say that we have worked very closely with the city staff in preparing the city's federal legislative agenda, and that's a very important component of our role to frame the city's agenda items in infrastructure, parks and recreation, public safety. It covers the full gamut. And then as Congress gets underway with the new administration, to begin placing those agenda items in front of your congressional delegation. And so we have been doing that, but I would step back for just one moment and just let you know a little bit about what's happening in Washington. As you know, new administration was sworn in. We have a new president. One of the things that has been a top priority discussion item has been infrastructure. You all have a growing community here in South Florida. I was pleased to hear some of the presentations by some of your folks with regard to water and your water distribution. We know that you're growing and there's great need. And so one of the things that we are looking at assessing is, number one, what will be the president's plan? That has not been rolled out yet. We've heard numbers in the neighborhood of $1 trillion investment. How that will be paid for and what that will look like is something that we're going to be providing the city details. And how that is put together, we will be looking at ways to present the city's key priorities to the House Transportation and Infrastructure Committee, Senate Environment and Public Works. So that's one area. Secondly, we do believe that public safety, Homeland Security will continue to be a priority under this administration and with Congress. We've had a number of discussions with your fire chief and your assistant chief. I was glad I could at least say a quick hello to them earlier today, Chief Palmer and Chief Huff. Currently, you all have an assistant to firefighter grant application that was submitted. We have been working diligently on that and secured letters of support from your members of Congress. It relates to self-contained breathing apparatus, vehicle extraction equipment, and also rapid intervention team equipment, which is for the safety primarily of your firefighters, and that's something that we are also working on. Beyond that, there's been discussion about tax reform, and we are going to be, since I know you had a lot of young football players here, I know you were honoring them. Not only are we, just to use that analogy, not only are we going to be playing offense for the city, which is something we like to do, but whenever there's a change in administration, there may be areas where they're going to be trying to pare down or cut, and so we want to play defense on those areas. And some of those could be related to your COPS funding. It could be for environmental issues. And so those are some other areas we're going to be closely watching. I do also want to mention something that was brought to my attention that I think the mayor, all of the commission, the city manager put on our radar, and that was related to the blasting issue that you all have. And that is something that I've discussed with staff, I've discussed with the mayor, and we've already discussed with both Mr. Hastings and Ms. Wilson's staff and your senators, and we are going to be pursuing working with your city attorney to make sure that some additional correspondence comes from Washington and some inquiries even to the Environmental Protection Agency. So those are some of the key items. I don't want to take too much more time, but I certainly would open it up to any questions you have. And these are, I'll say this, these are interesting times in Washington, and it's important that you have your eye on the ball And that's what we're trying to do every single day there on the city's behalf. And I thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Curlin, for your federal update, and we always appreciate your advocacy and the resources you provide, not only just to the Commission in any one of our inquiries, but specifically with our staff, who you work with diligently in terms of many of the federal grants that we apply for and have been successful in achieving. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, everyone. Pleasure to be here. Thank you.
Moving on to our consent agenda, items listed under consent agenda are viewed to be routine, and the recommendation will be enacted by one motion in the form listed below. If discussion is desired, the items will be removed from the consent agenda and will be considered separately. Anyone wishing to comment on any item on the consent agenda should approach the podium now. Hearing and seeing none, I'm back to the dais. Are there any items that need to be pulled or discussion? Okay. I'll take a motion on the consent agenda, please.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Call the roll.
Vice Mayor Chambers?
Yes.
Commissioner Colburn?
Yes.
Commissioner Riggs?
Yes.
Mayor Massa?
Yes. Item number 6, please. I'm sorry, item number 7, resolutions.
Item number 7 is a resolution of the City Commission of the City of Miramar, Florida, approving appointments to the Blasting Citizen Advisory Committee and providing an effective date.
Thank you. We've received applications from the city clerk, which were submitted ultimately through the application process online, for members of the community that are interested in serving on the blasting committee. And according to the ordinance that was just recently passed, there were specific representations or seats for the committee members representing various communities throughout the city that are directly impacted by the blasting, in addition to an at-large Miramar resident seat and an at-large Miramar business representative. At this time, how we will move forward is we will look at we can go down each community for the blasting board and take nominations for those seats and vote by majority support. In some of the seats, there's only one submission, so that will be self-explanatory unless there's a nomination from the commission for that recommendation. So the first community is Sunset Lakes. I think we received applications from Robert Barrera and Alex Cassis. So two representatives submitted for Sunset Lakes. Before we vote on this item, I would like to make a recommendation. Since there were 2 submissions for Sunset Lakes, Mr. Barrera and Mr. Cassis. Mr. Cassis also submitted under Miramar Business, and he was the only submission under Miramar Business. So, since two of those Sunset Lakes residents submitted, I would recommend that we put forward Robert Barrera and have Mr. Cassis for the Miramar business representative, if there's no objection.
No objection, not for me.
Or if there's any recommendations from the floor.
What if you get approved for both?
You only can serve in one seat. It's for simplicity. I don't think there would be a a dispute by Mr. Cassis whether he serves. Either way, he would be representing on the.
May I, Mayor? That makes a lot of sense to me, because that way we will have representation for Sunset Lakes and the business representatives, and that'll give both of them the opportunity to serve on the board. I agree.
So what I think we should give an applicant to choose one, since he applied for both.
But then that wouldn't give Mr. Robert the opportunity to be part of the board.
Okay, I suggested a cordial solution that meets the desires for the two representatives to serve. If the commission agrees with that recommendation by consensus, if not, then we can move a different direction. So, do we have consensus in regards to that recommendation?
Yes.
I can agree with that. It would allow both of them to serve.
All right. So we would then vote individually for each seat, Mr. Attorney, or just we can vote them by block after we go through
If there's consensus, you don't need to vote until the end. But if there's disagreement, you'd have to vote separately. It sounds like these two categories you can just move on.
Okay. So for Sunset Lakes, Robert Barrera would be the Sunset Lakes representative, and we're by de facto selecting the Miramar business representative with Alex Cassis. Riviera Owls, I have for the next. There was one submission.
Mm-hmm.
Mr. John Tobin.
That makes it easy.
Are there any other nominations?
No.
Seeing none, then by consensus, Mr. Tobin will represent Riviera Owls. Huntington, we have 5 submissions. Nora Jacome, Waldo Madera, Paolo Parent, Jorge Perez, and Gordon Weeks.
I'd like to recommend Gordon Weeks. That's okay with the rest of the commission.
I'm going to recommend Nora Jacome.
I also agree with Nora Jacome. In her record, she, I think, previously served on a blasting committee, I think the prior blasting committee in the city, so she brings some historical perspective. Okay.
That's who Nora Jacome, she has a lot of experience.
Okay.
I vote for her as well.
Next community, Nautica. 2 submissions, Sabine Champagne and Patricia Lara.
I'm going to recommend Patricia Lara.
Any recommendations for Ms. Champagne? Sabine Champagne or Patricia Lara? I had Ms. Lara as well.
I do too.
So we have consensus on Ms. Lara.
Mm-hmm.
Next community, Country Club Ranches. There was 1 submission, Ms. Dorothy Brown Alfaro. Are there any other submissions, recommendations from the commission? All right. So for Country Club Ranches, will be on Ms. Dorothy Brown Alfaro. For at-large representative, we have 3 submissions. Emily Bartkowitz, Anthony Davis, and Carrie Ann Nesbitt. Any nominations?
Emily Barkowitz.
Emily.
Any other nominations? Okay. right, so Emily Barkowitz. And we did not have any submissions from the Sunset Falls community. So we will move forward with our recommendations, but we encourage a Sunset Falls representative we'll reach out to their community to request any recommendations from that community so Sunset Falls is recommended so that we can fill that vacancy at a future commission meeting. So I'll recap the proposed board members: Sunset Lakes, Robert Barrera; Riviera Isles, John Tobin; Huntington, Nora Jacome; Nautica, Patricia Lara; Country Clubs Ranches, Dorothy Brown Alfaro; Miramar resident at large, Emily Bartkowitz; and Miramar business, Alex Cassis. For the record, what's the name of the business? Millennia Corporation. Could you spell that? Okay, so we have all of the board members for approval. I'll entertain a motion.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Call the roll.
Vice Mayor Chambers?
Yes.
Commissioner Colburn?
Yes.
Commissioner Riggs?
Yes.
Mayor Massa?
Yes. So congratulations to all of our board members, and stay tuned for communications from our clerk's office regarding the upcoming meetings that will take place for this very important issue. And we look forward to working with the community in regards to seeking a solution regarding the blasting effects that are taking place in the community. Thank you so much for the residents that came out to support this item tonight.
Mayor, before we move on, the ninth seat on the board is the school board representative. The city clerk received something from the superintendent's office that said Mr. Runcie will not be sending a representative to participate on the Blasting Citizen Advisory Committee, as this is not a school board issue and we have no jurisdiction regarding the matter, which puts us with a permanent vacancy. One thing we could do is I can come forward with an amendment to the ordinance to change that to an at-large seat, so you can fill it,
Well, what I would do is, before we make any changes to the ordinance, I think we should reach out to Superintendent Runcie to perhaps give him some context in regards to the rationale of having the school board having representation. It's been communicated from various individuals as well as the commission, is that as many stakeholders that we have involved in the process, especially the school district, which we have several schools that are in that immediate area, that I think with proper context that there may be some reconsideration. So that would be my recommendation, if it's the consensus of the board, that we reach out to Superintendent Runcie. I know him personally. I can reach out to him as well to give him some context in terms of why, and then I can report back to the commission in terms of his final determination after being provided that context. And if it's the school district's decision to not have any representation, then we can entertain options in terms of what additional seat. But I just think that with proper context, I can't make a decision for them. I just find that at least that they would have some kind of representation.
Mayor, if you'd like, we could, as you're reaching out to him, I could at the same time prepare an ordinance to put on the next agenda, making it an at-large seat, and then we'll take it off the agenda if he appoints someone. If he doesn't appoint someone, I'd like to just get on. I don't want this board to be delayed. And if you have, we now have 7 of the 9, you need 5 to have a quorum. So I don't want to be in a situation where we're not able to get quorums and stuff. So I'll prepare that, and if you just let me know when you talk to him, we'll take it off the agenda if we can.
Okay, no problem. Without objection from the commission?
That'll be fine.
Okay. All right, thank you, Mr. Attorney. Item number 8, please.
Item 8 is resolution of the City Commission of the City of Miramar, Florida, authorizing renewal of various insurance coverages for the city's self-protected and self-insurance program as part of the city's comprehensive risk management program effective April 1, 2017. Insurance renewals. Approving a projected premium cost not to exceed $2.175976 million, including taxes and fees. Declaring by 4/5 affirmative vote that applying the city's competitive procurement procedures to the insurance renewals is not in the city's best interest, thereby exempting the insurance renewals from the city's competitive procurement requirements. Authorizing the Human Resources Director to negotiate lower premium amounts due under the insurance renewals. Authorizing the city manager to execute appropriate agreements and providing for an effective date.
Good evening, Mayor Messam, Vice Mayor Chambers, Commissioners, Madam City Manager. Melanie McLean, Human Resources Director, presenting temporary resolution number 6366 pertaining to non-benefit insurance renewals. City Commission approval is required for the renewal of non-benefit insurance policies for the period April 1st, 2017 through March 31st, 2018 in an amount not to exceed $2,175,976. A little bit of background. In anticipation of the expiration of the city's insurance policies on March 31st, 2017, our risk insurance broker consultant, Arthur G. Gallagher, began marketing for the renewal of the city's protected self-insurance program. These coverages are necessary to protect the city's physical assets and protect the city from other potential liabilities. The expiring policies for the prior period cost the City of Miramar roughly $2.2 million. Effective April 1st, 2017, we have good news. The City of Miramar's insurance premiums are projected to decrease by $30,195. The new total premium amount will not exceed $2,175,976 for the one-year renewal term. Staff is seeking authorization to renew the city's non-benefit insurance policies commencing on April 1st, and approval is recommended.
McLean, are there any members from the public who wish to be heard on this item? Hearing and seeing none, back to the commission. Are any comments, questions? Entertain a motion.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Call the roll.
Vice Mayor Chambers.
Yes.
Commissioner Colburn.
Yes.
Commissioner Riggs. Yes. Mayor Messam.
Yes. Item number 9, please.
Item 9 is an ordinance of the City Commission of the City of Miramar, Florida, creating the Historic Miramar Advisory Board, providing for conflicts, providing for inclusion in the code, providing for severability, and providing for an effective date.
Is there staff presentation? I know it says Commissioner Riggs, but is there a presentation for this item?
No.
Okay, so is there a discussion on?
There doesn't need to be, but I'm sure we have some residents who may want to say something on this item. But if not, it's a long overdue. That much I can say.
Yes, do you want to share with
the purpose? Us
Yes.
first. Okay, sure. So, very simple. I believe that this is truly overdue, forming a historic Miramar Advisory Board. And pretty much the purpose of this board would be to help enhance the quality of life in services that we provide specifically for the historic side. I hate to even think of an east or west type of thing with Miramar, but this is truly needed in the aspect of all the renovation we're doing on the historic side, beautifying the historic side, and any other issues. So this would run like every other board. So I spoke with quite a few of the residents on the historic side, and I see some folks sitting here today who think they're on the historic side, but they're not. So historic site is really from University to 441 Pembroke Road to County Line. So I'm looking forward to forming this board in order to help improve the quality of life for those on the historic side, because we do care about all of Miramar. So I'm looking forward to forming this board. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Riggs. Are there any members from the public that wish to speak on this item? And for members from the public that will be speaking on this item, if you would state your name and address for the record, and you have 3 minutes.
Good evening. I'm Mary Rayner, 6100 Southwest 21st Street. Second of all, I am the president of United Neighbors of East Miramar as a civic organization, since we're not bound by any deeds restriction. I think that this is a good idea of ways to work with the city, with the different projects, like Commissioner Riggs said, involving the east side. It is a different part of the city, you know, not having gated communities, and with the big expansion of 441, which is creating all kinds of problems on the east side right now. So I think that this is advice and everything that we should be able to give to the city at this point. Thank you.
Thank you. Good evening.
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, Commissioners, members of the Commission. My name is Norma Martin, 7200 Grandview Boulevard, Miramar, Florida 33023, and I'm also president of Miramar Park Homeowners Group, which is a voluntary civic group. I am in agreement with this 2,000%, because instead of talking about East Miramar and West Miramar, is historic Miramar. And there are things that we would like to see happen in Miramar. And we keep on saying, well, Miramar is a place for you to raise your family, play, so whatever it is, let's continue to improve on that, right? Because I don't want few years down the line, you know, that's not what we want. I want to see it bigger and better. So if all of us could come together, this is not a political issue, it's an issue for the residents of Miramar, and that's what I'd like to see in the future. Thank you.
Thank you. Good evening.
Good evening. Good evening, Allison Adams, 7211 Fairway Boulevard, Miramar, 33023. Commissioners, Mayor, Riggs, I have to commend you on this recommendation. It has been long overdue. And I seriously applaud you on what you're endeavoring to do here. And I'm also a member of the Miramar Park Homeowners Group. We, like Ms. Norma said, is a civic organization, and we have strived over the years to make sure we maintain the quality of our neighborhoods on the, quote, east side, but for the purpose of this meeting, the historic site of Miramar. It is very much needed. You know, that was the founding block for this city. That was the launch pad for what we see here now, and we have to maintain it. And in order to do that, sometimes you need the input from the residents that feel it, know it, and live it. I mean, we had that beautification project that took place in my neighborhood years ago. And had we not been actively involved in that process, we probably would have had our streets being destroyed now by the incorrect trees that were being recommended at that time. But because we partnered and we pulled on the professional resources that existed amongst our residents and partnered with the representatives from the city, we were able to beautify our neighborhood and put in the right things for that neighborhood to maintain the quality of that neighborhood. And I thank you for bringing this up. Keep up the good work.
Thank you. Good evening.
Hi, good evening. Michelle Fisemi, 3505 East Shore Road. I just want to say a great big thank you to Commissioner Riggs. Thank you so much for thinking about this, and I hope it goes to fruition. I've lived in Miramar for a very long time, for over 19 years now, and I've been here, quite a few times mentioning the east side versus the west side, and I think that if we get to this historic board, I think it's going to be a great thing for the residents, on my side, so that we won't have to say east versus west. There should be no divide. There should only be one Miramar, and we can come and make certain, recommendations and beautify the site that we live in. So I'm hoping that everything goes through. Thank you. Once again, thank you very much.
Thank you. That closes our public comments. Seeing no other members from the public wishing to speak forward. Just a couple of notes for the public in regards to this item. This is the first reading, and I would like to share what the composition of this Historic Miramar Advisory Board will be. It'll comprise of 7 members, and there will be 5 residents who live within the historic part of the city. Each member of the City Commission shall appoint 1 such resident. So each member of the Commission will appoint 1 of these 5 residents. There will be 1 business owner whose place of business is within the historic part of the city, so that we can have business representation on this board. And this appointee will be selected by majority vote of the City Commission. And finally, there will be 1 resident who does not live within the historic part of the city. This appointee will be selected by majority vote of the City Commission. So there will be a total of 7 members of this advisory board. And 5 members. Each elected official has an appointee, and there will be a representative from the business community in addition to an at-large or a non-historic Miramar resident. So at this time, if there are any other comments, we do have a second reading that will take place on this item. If there's any comments, I'll take them now or entertain a motion. Vice Mayor Chambers, you're recognized.
I just want to say thanks to Commissioner Riggs and those residents that live in East Miramar. It's a good start. But what I'm hoping is that, what I'm hearing also is that a lot of the West residents are sharing the same sentiment that the Eastern side is saying. They feel some disconnect with the city, and I'm hoping that we could move in the direction where we have a City of Miramar resident board to where they can get their point across and have more time than 3 minutes when they come here to speak. So this is going to be something we're going to be improving and reach out to all residents to encourage them to have a resident advisory board. So thank you, Commissioner Riggs. And I'm looking forward to supporting the item and encourage the rest of our residents to do the same thing. Thanks.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Are there any other comments? So I'll take a motion.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Call the roll.
Vice Mayor Chambers?
Yes.
Commissioner Colburn?
Yes.
Commissioner Riggs?
Yes.
Mayor Massa?
Yes, the second reading is scheduled for March 29th, 2017 at our next commission meeting. Item number 10, please.
Item number 10 is an ordinance of the City Commission of the City of Miramar, Florida, relating to comprehensive planning, making findings, adopting the annual update to the capital improvement schedule of the capital improvement element for fiscal years 2017 through 2021, providing for severability and providing for an effective date.
Good evening.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, Mr. Vice Mayor, Commissioners. Eric Silva, Community and Economic Development. This is second reading of this item, and there were no changes since the first reading. This is the item where we're taking our adopted capital improvement plan from the budget and just copying it into our comprehensive plan. Recommendations for approval.
Thank you. Public that wish to comment on this second reading of this item. Hearing and seeing none, back to the dais. There are no changes from the first reading. If there aren't any questions, I'll entertain a motion.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Call the roll.
Vice Mayor Chambers?
Yes.
Commissioner Colburn?
Yes.
Commissioner Riggs?
Yes.
Mayor Massa?
Yes. Item number 11, please.
Hi, Mayor. Item 11 is quasi-judicial, so I'll read the quasi-judicial procedures. Florida courts have determined that there are certain types of matters, including the following applications, which are to be treated differently than other issues considered by the Commission. Most decisions of the Commission are legislative in nature, which means that the City Commission is acting as a policy-making body. In contrast, in quasi-judicial matters, the Commission is applying existing rules and policies to a factual situation, is therefore acting like a judge or a jury in a courtroom. In such cases, courts have decided that due process and fundamental fairness requires that more formal procedures be followed. The City of Miramar's procedures for quasi-judicial hearings are as follows. Anyone who wishes to speak on any of the items will be collectively sworn in by the City Clerk. The hearings will be conducted in an informal manner. I will read the title of the item to be considered. City staff will present a brief synopsis of the application and shall make a recommendation. Next will be a presentation by the applicant. The Commission will then hear from participants in favor of and in opposition to the application. All witnesses are subject to cross-examination by City staff, City Commission, and the applicant, and a participant may request that the Commission ask questions of a witness. The applicant and staff will make concluding remarks. No further presentations or testimony will be permitted and the public hearing will be closed. All decisions of the Commission must be based upon competent and substantial evidence presented to it at the hearing. All backup materials provided to the City Commission as part of the agenda will automatically be made a part of the record of the hearing. All approvals will be subject to staff recommended conditions unless otherwise stated in the motion for approval. At this time, the City Clerk should swear in all witnesses.
All of those wishing to provide testimony on the following quasi-judicial item, please stand and raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you are about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Yes. Please remain standing until you receive a colored dot. Thank you.
All right, item 11 is a resolution of the City Commission of the City of Miramar, Florida, considering application number 1604292, conditional use, application number 1604285, site plan amendment, and application number 1604288, Community Parents Board, for a 5-story, 51,220 square foot expansion of the Safeguard self-storage facility on a B3 heavy business parcel at the northeast corner of South University Drive and the Ronald Reagan Turnpike, and considering application 1604296 variance from Land Development Code Section 808.3.2 for a parking reduction from the required amount of 67 parking spaces to 10 parking spaces, making findings, approving the conditional use, site plan, community appearance board, and variance applications with conditions of approval, and providing for an effective date. Although all these items are, all the applications are one, we'll have one hearing, but Mayor, you should call for a separate vote on each one, and then one vote on the entire resolution.
Mr. Silva.
Good evening again. Eric Silva, Community Economic Development. This item is for the Safeguard self-storage expansion. The applicant has proposed 4 applications. One is for conditional use, a variance application for parking, site plan approval, and community parents board approval. They're proposing a 5-story building that's 51,220 square feet, and it's an expansion at an existing Safeguard facility. A little bit of background about this application. The parcel size is just over 3 acres. The land use designation is low-medium. Several years ago, there was an application to allow for flexibility of commercial uses here, and that was approved for the whole property. So the land use is consistent, and the zoning is also consistent with a conditional use approval, and it's B3. The location, this parcel is at University Drive and the Florida Turnpike, and you might remember this one because this is where that new flagpole is that has the Miramar flag up. The conditional use application. The Development Review Committee recommended approval on December 8th last year, and the Planning and Zoning Board recommended approval on January 17th of this year. The site plan application, the TRC recommended approval on January 12th, and the Community Parents Board recommended approval on January 26th. A little bit of background on the parking variance. A parking variance was approved for the single building that's out there now back in 2001. For both buildings, 67 spaces are required. The applicant's providing 10 spaces, and based on several studies that they submitted to us and looking at other codes from the area, there should be enough parking. The new building is only going to be for drop-off only, so there's no need for the residents to park at that new building. And the DRC recommended approval on January 12th of the parking variance. This aerial photograph shows the location of the new building. It's going to be just adjacent to the turnpike in that red box. And here's the site plan. It shows the new building in white with the landscaping along the turnpike and along the north side, and then on the west side you have University Drive, and then the Pineland area, the Pineland Preserve area. And this rendering shows the view as you're traveling down the turnpike. Recommendations of approval with 4 conditions. The applicant must obtain all state and federal permits. They must present to staff sustainable building practices prior to receiving their building permit application. Any painting, changes to the paint colors would have to go back to the department for approval. And they have to obtain letters of no objection from the utility companies for some trees that they'll be planting. And the applicant is here for a brief presentation.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, Mr. Vice Mayor, Madam Commissioners. My name is Inés Marrero. I'm attorney with offices at 701 Brickell Avenue. I am here on behalf of the applicant. Thank you very much for your time this evening. We really don't have much to add to the staff presentation. We concur with their analysis, their recommendation, and the conditions. We have our team here this evening to address any questions. Just generally, this is an expansion of an existing self-storage facility. It is a national operator. You've all well aware of the existing facility. It's well maintained. They provide a needed service to the community. We were just talking before the meeting about how it's not only really for people who need to store their stuff, but how we serve the trade industry, because a lot of trade workers store their equipment there. So it's really a very service-oriented facility. On a personal note, we want to thank your professional staff for their diligent work and the review of the application. It's been a pleasure to work with them, and we're just here to respond to any questions that you may have. Thank you.
Thank you. At this time, are there any questions from the dais, either from staff or the applicant? Hearing none, are there any members from the public that have any comments, questions on this item? Yes, actually, if you can come to the podium, state your name and address for the record. If you have multiple questions, if you could just state them all, and then we'll get a response.
Okay. Gina Olivier Tyler. I'm 3371 Southwest 195th Terrace, Miramar, Florida 33029. My comment is, originally it was 67 parking spaces, and it's been reduced to 10. I thought that was kind of a drastic change from 67 to 10. And what recommendation and how did they come up with the 10? And is that sufficient amount of spaces, considering originally it was 67?
Thank you so much for your question. If we can have, actually, let's have staff in regards to the determination, because the applicant will always make the request, but staff has to reconcile that request with our land use code. So if you can just speak in regards to the site, existing, or perhaps already established parking, or whatever the scenario was to make the recommendation for the variance.
Sure. Our code requires 1 parking space per 2,000 square feet, which is a lot more parking than other codes in South Florida. Some are as high as 1 parking space per 10,000 square feet for self-storage. So based on that information that we reviewed, and based on the fact that they've been operating for, 10 years or so, at least now? 11 years, I think. Yeah. And they haven't had any problems with parking now. And the owner submitted information to us about other facilities that they own. I think it was several throughout the area. And they documented that they had about 2 visitors per hour. So the need for additional parking didn't really seem necessary. Our code seems very, very high, and we're in the process of updating our parking requirements, and we'll be reducing that requirement. And the last reason is the design of the project. We have the existing building, which will have the space to 10 spaces in the front, and the new building, it's total wraparound with a couple different loading zones, so there's no need for anybody to park back there. The only reason you'd be parking really is probably to set up a new account, or to maybe park in the front and walk to get something small. But if you need something large from your facility, you're going to drive in, park near the loading zone, pick it up, and leave. So people don't stay there too long. Okay.
All right. Thank you for your comment. Are there any other questions from the public? Seeing none, back to the dais. Are there any questions or comments, or entertain a motion?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Mayor, you need to
Did
do
I-
motions on each one of the.
Yes. All right, so
That
this
motion
motion
was-
on the conditional use, which is application 1604292. We have a motion and a second. Call the roll.
Vice Mayor Chambers?
Yes.
Commissioner Colburn?
Yes.
Commissioner Riggs?
Yes.
Mayor Massa?
Yes. And for the site plan amendment, application 1604285, may I have a motion?
Motion to approve?
Second.
Call the roll.
Vice Mayor Chambers?
Yes.
Commissioner Colburn?
Yes.
Commissioner Riggs?
Yes.
Mayor Massa?
Yes. And for the application number 1604296, variance for parking, may I have a motion?
Motion to approve?
Second.
Call the roll.
Vice Mayor Chambers?
Yes.
Commissioner Colburn?
Yes.
Commissioner Riggs?
Yes.
Mayor Massa?
And a motion for item 11. Did I capture all the?
I think you missed one. The
Community appearance.
1604288, the Community Appearance Board.
Yes, 1604288 for the Community Appearance Board. May I have a motion, please?
Motion to approve?
Second.
Call the roll.
Vice Mayor Chambers?
Yes.
Commissioner Colburn?
Yes.
Commissioner Riggs?
Yes.
Mayor Massa?
Yes, and finally, a motion for item number 11 as a whole.
Motion to approve?
Second.
Call the roll.
Vice Mayor Chambers?
Yes.
Commissioner Colburn?
Yes.
Commissioner Riggs?
Yes.
Mayor Massa?
Yes. Other business, reports and comments. We'll start with Commissioner Riggs and work our way down.
Sure.
Congratulations and have a wonderful project.
Okay.
Any comments?
Thank you. I do have a few things happening, quite a few. Okay, first thing, we have the movie stars from Hidden Figures that will be in town the third week of March. So while we have them in town, we're doing an award ceremony for our young Hidden Figures. So I would really like to encourage our staff to nominate their children, because I've met some of your children and they are extremely, extremely talented. So we have actor Jaden Kane and Carlasha Grant. Those two actors and actresses will be here with Sandra Justice. She's going to be the host. So the trophies are beautiful. And we already have some nominees. These are children who at 8 years old have started nonprofit organizations feeding the homeless. Just amazing. So we want to encourage them to continue to change their community in a positive way. So that is taking place on March 17th, right here at City Hall. So looking forward to seeing your children nominated and seeing you there. So again, that's Young Hidden Figures Awards on March 17th, 7 p.m. And next, I also have the Faith Leaders Brunch coming up on March 21st. That's a Tuesday at 10 a.m. right here in our cultural center. And that one is an invitation to our faith leaders around the community, not just Miramar, our sister cities as well. So I'm looking forward to keeping that line of communication open with our faith leaders in order for them to let us know what they need in order to serve their congregation. So I'm looking forward to that as well. That is on the 21st in the morning at 10 a.m. And there's more. I also have a 100 Wills Day coming up. I'm partnering up with Cox Media in order to do this one. The purpose of 100 Wills Day is to educate the community on the importance of advance directives. So often we encounter, especially for me, I have experience with hospice as a hospice nurse, we encounter a lot of families who, at the end, they don't know who should make the decision or who what goes to. So it's an important piece. So it's free to the community. It's a 2-day event. The first day is April 8th. So that piece will be to educate the public on the importance, and then we'll give you the paperwork. You fill it out. You come back for it to be legalized by the attorneys that will be here. So all of that is free. You can always call my office if you want more information on this stuff. And we also have Earth Day coming up, which is April 22nd. So we have an Earth Day event at Fairway Park. It'll be from 11 until 3 p.m. Another piece to that event is an Adopt a Street. I would like to encourage our especially the churches, but it could be a resident, church, or a business to adopt their street. And the goal is to, keep the street clean so that we can continue to keep Miramar beautiful. And the city will organize everything that you need as far as the equipment and the signage that you will receive with your business or church name is all provided by the city. So I would really encourage you to think about adopting your street. And it's not, a lot. I guess it depends on where you live will determine how often you'll have to clean the street. But I would encourage you to get involved with that. And I believe that was the last one. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Riggs, and glad to see that we're putting the Adopt the Street program to use. Yes. Thanks so much. I think I was the only one with one so far. So, Commissioner Colburn.
Thank you. I just wanted to say thank you to Ana G. Mendez University. They celebrated El Mes de la Mujer, Women's Month. And I was a speaker there, part of their panel, and it's just great for them to have celebrated Women's Month. So thank you for allowing me to be part of that. I want to remind everyone, next Tuesday is elections in the city of Miramar. Polls open 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. No early voting, so please come out and make sure that you vote. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Vice Mayor Chambers.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And I want to say thank you, Commissioner Riggs, for your great idea, for all you're doing for the community. Thank you so much for the support. I just want to say 2 weeks ago I hosted a free performance in the theater with Nola, Mama Nola, as you know, Nest of Living Arts. And I just want to thank all the residents who came out and participated. It was fun. Everyone had a wonderful time. The show was nice. It was only an hour and 20 minutes. And it was great to see families hanging out in the theater for free and having a wonderful time. And the children was just great. They enjoyed performing and looking forward to doing more shows like that. I also want to share with our residents, people listening at home, that this coming Saturday, we'll be hosting a free community legal forum with the Jamaican American Bar Association. And this is free to a community. You don't have to live in the city of Miramar to attend and get some legal counseling. We're going to be covering anything from immigration, business, bankruptcy, expungement, family issues, foreclosure, probates and will, real estate, and just any legal issue that anyone is having and want to have it addressed. If you don't hear it here, we're going to cover everything. I know we did not have a workman comps attorney, but now we do. So please come on down and we will take care of you with, I think we have about 15 or 16 attorneys that will be here to assist our resident or the people from the surrounding community. Also, March 4th, next Tuesday, is the upcoming election, and I want to wish my colleague, Commissioner Colburn, well, and also Commissioner Barnes. I have no doubt that we will do well. We have done a lot of good things in the community. We're very active, very supportive of the fire department, Miramar PD, and Game Union. And for the 2 years that I'm here, I've done quite a bit, not to mention the 9 years since I moved to Miramar. So I want to wish my colleague well, and I have no doubt that we will be reelected to office to continue what we have started, and we're going to stay together with the resident of Miramar. Thank you, and have a wonderful night.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. I have a couple of announcements. I would like to thank our staff for their support, and on February 22nd, where I hosted my latest Let's Talk Jobs event that took place right here in the City Commission with companies such as the FBI, 3Z, Telecom. We had JL Audio and a couple other firms that have either recently relocated to Miramar or expanded their operations, and talked about the many opportunities that they have. And for the residents that attended the event. It was very, very beneficial information. In fact, some of the companies actually had applications and job opportunities that were immediate, that had an immediate need for. So we were very excited to be able to make that connection with our residents and the many companies that come. Because oftentimes we hear that companies come to our city, but how do our residents get connected with those opportunities? Well, we brought the companies here. They provided the information. In fact, many of their representatives were either principals of the company or they were the HR directors of those companies. So it provided a great opportunity for residents to be able to interface with those firms, and was glad to see that the residents that attended benefit from that interaction. I also would like to thank thank the community, our sponsors and our staff, and most importantly, my assistant, Edna LaRoche, for this year's Mayor's 3K walk, run, health fair, and did yoga. It was well attended, and what I like most about it is the reason why I started this program 4 years ago was because of the prevalence of various morbid conditions that impact our quality of life in the city of Miramar, whether it's heart disease, diabetes, whatever morbid conditions that prevent us from being able to live a fulfilling life. And it's really designed to get any person who is physically able to walk or run off the couch to come out, get some fresh air on a Saturday morning, meet with your residents, get a free screening, participate in fitness demonstrations. Host Food did cooking demonstrations to show us how to make healthy meals quickly and cheaply, and that was a big hit. The kids always have a great time on the rock climbing and running the race, and I'll continue to give another shout out to Gabriel, an 11-year-old future Olympian. I'm convinced the kid runs like a 6-minute mile, and he actually beat the mayor in his own race. So I had to bow down to this young lad who is very gifted. Proud of their participation. So I'd like to continue to encourage our residents to be fit. It doesn't matter your age, your sex, your race, your religious beliefs or non-belief. We have one vessel. We get out of it what we put in it. And I encourage everyone in the city of Miramar to continue to be Miramar fit. My final announcement is in regards to immigration. Yesterday at the school board meeting, Broward County Schools passed a resolution that designated their school properties as safe places for their students who they've had quite a few incidents where parents were being deported for whatever reason. And if you can imagine the horror of a student being pulled from class and informed that their parent is deported. Think about the ramifications of that. Where does that child go? Who supports that child? What is the next step? So Broward Schools passed a resolution designating their schools as safe places where immigration agents or federal agents would be required to have a search warrant or a warrant to come on their properties instead of just staking out or just showing up. My next thought was, well, we have several schools in the city of Miramar. In fact, some of those students that are in our public schools in our city actually have little brothers and little sisters that are students in our VPK program here in the city of Miramar. What happens to them? Can immigration agents just show up at our facility on stakeouts, to perhaps apprehend those who they may feel may be violating our immigration laws. So I spoke with our attorney to look at the ramifications or the prospects of the City of Miramar designating our VPK sites as safe places, requiring federal or immigration agents to have a warrant to come on our property, just as the school district has done. And that will be brought forward to this commission for approval. And unless there's objection from this commission that doesn't want it to move forward. But I think that this is a family issue. We have schools, our own school system, so to speak, our VPK program, our MiramarFLs that we call them affectionately. So we want to, make sure that our parents, at least, regardless of their immigration status, that's one less fear that they have in regards to the prospect of their child being disrupted due to what we've been seeing going on across the country. So if there's no objection, I would like to get consensus from the commission to have our attorney to draft a resolution for our consideration at a future meeting.
Want to say something?
Yes, Commissioner Riggs.
You have consensus. I also wanted to add that during the Faith Leaders Brunch on March 21st, I'm having Philip from the Catholic Charities Legal Services to come and talk about immigration so that the pastors and our faith leaders are more aware of what to do in case they do have somebody who needs the legal services. I know there's a lot of questions about TPS, so he will be able to answer all of those questions. So if you want to come that day and get some answers.
Thank you, Commissioner Riggs. And finally, in regards to the immigration, as I mentioned earlier, my last Let's Talk was jobs. So the next Let's Talk will be on immigration. And just 2 days ago, the president just released his latest version of his travel and immigration. It's his travel ban. So our being an immigrant community, it will be good to understand and know what the current version is, what it's not, things that that the community needs to be, prepared for. Not that we're condoning anyone with illegal status in our community, but at the end of the day, if there is someone here that may be have overstayed their visa or may be here illegally, they may have children here. They have families here. If there's disruption, our community is going to be impacted. So as a community, as a city, it's important that we provide and bring the community together in terms of legal assistance, social service assistance, so that families are prepared. We encourage individuals to have, Commissioner Riggs just mentioned about, what about those end-of-life directives that you may want to have if you're incapacitated and what to do? Well, our new reality is, okay, if there's disruption in a family, what are those steps you need to take? Who's going to watch over your child, or who's going to, handle those legal issues, those medical issues, those parental issues for dependents that may be impacted? So that's the goal. So I'll be following up on our next date of our Let's Talk Immigration. So that concludes my report. And at this time, do you have any reports from City Manager's Office or City Attorney's? Or City Manager, you're recognized.
It has been proven that dressing for success provides an added confidence and advantage when arriving for a job or college interview. After identifying a need in the community, the City Clerk's Office has embarked on an initiative to collect new and gently used professional attire and/or gift cards to outfit young adults who otherwise could not afford appropriate business attire. This is an ongoing initiative with donation sites located at the Sunset Lake Community Center, Multi-Service Complex, Wastewater Reclamation Facility, and City Hall. They are also seeking support from local businesses and retail merchants. Thanks to generous donors, on February 15th, the clerk's office was proud to gift approximately 200 gently used items of clothing for men and women to Henry D. Perry Education Center. They also found their first corporate sponsor in Lamar Dry Cleaners right here in Miramar, who joyfully and without hesitation offered their services free of charge for this initiative. For more information, please contact the City Clerk's office or pick up a flyer in the lobby. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Attorney? No? This meeting is adjourned. Good night, everyone.
I don't need anything. I mean, stop by the book. I need to get out of here. This says here.